episode, I get to speak with Sam Mollaei. We talk all things efficiency, how to eliminate the three major distractions of life in general, and creating a scalable lifestyle. Listen in for more. Hi, welcome to Let's Talk Paralegal podcast. My name is Ada, your host, and today I have the awesome Sam. We've been able to speak a couple times before the recording, so I've gotten to know him, his brand, his mission, and what he feels about the future of our legal industry, our lawyers, our law firms, and basically what that looks like through mentorship, coaching, apprenticeship, and consulting in a nutshell. So without further ado, Sam, welcome to the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast.
Thank you so much, Eda. It's super exciting. And I know you have an engaged group of people that follow you and listen to you. So props to you to keep it going.
Thank you. So you want to tell the audience a little bit about you, where you came from, how this, embassy happened. You have quite a story. So you want to share a little bit with the audience?
Sure. So I became a lawyer 8 years ago, and I worked at a law firm. And while I was working at the law firm, I'm like, what am I doing with my life? I started questioning life. And I basically decided to start my own law firm because I thought that there'd be I could be able to run a law firm a lot more efficiently than the way it was run. So I started my own law firm. I had a lot of time on my hands because I didn't have that many clients. So I started teaching myself about how to generate clients online. Started learning about these things called funnels. Learning and basically started generating clients. I funneled people first to be able to give me a call. And then all of a sudden there was a huge influx of calls. I'd be able to handle it. Then I started forwarding those leads towards emails. Then I was able to answer all the emails myself. Then out of that desperation, I had so much stuff going on, I basically started also automating things. That means be able to create systems and processes for the law firm to run on its own, completely on its own. So that means the leads will come in, our automations and our virtual intakers, we'll be able to sign them up. Then they were handed over to our client onboarding teams. Then they were handed off to our legal clerks. Then they were handed off to our attorneys. This whole kind of system was kind of systematized. And I was able to duplicate this over and over. Fast forward 7 years later, I've been able to I run 6 of my own law firms, and I've been able to automate all of them. And at the same time, about 3 years ago, I started a journey teaching this to other law firm owners about how they could not only get more clients, but also create systems, and also very important to build teams, including paralegals and every asset of different team members that are needed to be able to automate and run a very systematized law firm.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the nail, right? As lawyers, you're not trained to run a business at all, right? So you have to learn it. You have to learn everything from scratch or reach out to someone that knows, whatever the case may be. And automation is something that legal technology has been able to help us as well, right? Especially after COVID. I feel a lot of the software and the legal technology in general has grown. I'm testing new software and updates all the time. Like this morning, I just had a test run with a huge legal company out overseas, and they have paralegals and they have professionals because we're the frontliners. We're the ones that are going to be using this software. So they're going to want to know our feedback and what we think about it and what other features they can add. So definitely automation is the way to go and the way to learn as well. I love another thing that you said about trying to create a team, because I feel like sometimes, especially now with all, okay, I'm just going to submit my resume and then hope and pray I get the deal. Like, that's it, right? Like, let's just hope and pray I get this client, I get this job, I get this opportunity. And then it's like, well, I haven't heard anything. Well, have you followed up? Did you even want that opportunity? I mean, how bad did you want it? Or all you did was upload something. And so creating teams can get, I guess, like, people are stuck in the traditional ways where they would just submit something, get a call, get an interview, and all that good stuff. And that's just not how it goes, right? Unfortunately, there's so much out there. There's so much information. Like, I can work for somebody in California sitting here in Florida or New York or Chicago. I do it every day. So, understanding the new law firm, the new way to run a law firm is really important. And I know I find it hard. So I don't know about you, and I want to hear your feedback on this, but I find it really hard to kind of get my message through with the attorneys that are very stuck in like traditional, no, my team has to be in my office at all hours and they have to do it this way. Like, tell me how you navigate through that, right? Because I have a few discussions with them. Obviously, there's layer 1, 2, and 3. So really, how do you navigate through those clients that are just maybe not willing to budge or maybe not willing to grow in the way that you're presenting it?
Some, no matter what, are not going to budge no matter what. So those aren't the battles that I would like to tackle with, because some people are just set in their ways, and that's okay. If that's what's worked for you, that's fine. But just know there is a big rush and a big wave of a more efficient, scalable, automated, AI enabled teams and systems that are going to come and disrupt the entire workflow of how law firms are run. And unfortunately, it's kind of like a adopt or die kind of situation. I've kind of been on the front runner of this. I've been, setting up these automations and things way before the pandemic. And now, thanks to the pandemic, actually helped kind of expose those things that I was already doing and talking about for many years, which kind of and brought that to the surface. But now even more so, especially with AI. I mean, we could probably talk a lot about how AI is going to completely disrupt this whole market. It's adopt or die. So unfortunately, I'm not looking to, convince anybody. I already am convinced. I already know there are a lot more efficient ways to be able to run these things, and it's up to the law firm owners to be able to kind of be willing to listen and adopt. If not, no worries. We'll be able to kind of overtake that.
Absolutely. I call them the blockbuster clients because, Blockbuster wasn't willing to grow and look where they're at. So, yeah, and eventually it's going to catch up to you, right? You have to, just like anything else in life, you have to grow. You have to be more flexible in your thoughts and the way you present yourself, and things like that. So, yeah. Okay. So we have the same thing because I don't even bother. I'm just like, okay, bye. Like, our time is valuable as well. So it's like, why am I even going to waste it on someone that's not willing to hear this?
Totally. And one of our advisors, which is one of our salespeople on our team, brought this up yesterday in our team meeting. Hey, there's some pushback from some certain lawyers who have a fear of technology, have a fear of change. They question things left and right. Because lawyers are just they look at every side, they get too over analytical. What can we do about that? And actually, I told them, hey, if you want, gather all your questions, bring those up, and let's have a deep conversation. Ultimately, I think there's a deep rooted sense of FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt that's happening, deep rooted in the lawyers themselves. And so first, you got to kind of tackle that before we get to the surface. So, yeah, it requires deeper conversation, but it comes down to like kind of deeper sense of like, again, that fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
And I don't know if it happens to you, but it happens to me. Sometimes you approach someone that's just not ready, right? And you just have to identify that. Sometimes they're just not ready. They'll make all the excuses in the world, whether it's financially, mentally, wherever they're at in their personal, professional life. They'll make all these excuses. And those are the ones that you'll follow up with later, right? Like 2-3 months later, and I'll grab them. I'll be like, okay, I completely understand that maybe this is not something that you're willing to focus on right now because you're so overwhelmed, but that is literally what I'm trying to sell you. So you're not overwhelmed, but okay, whatever. And then you get them on a good day, a couple weeks later, and then all of a sudden they're more open to the conversation. So I think you're right. I think it's all about the mindset and where they are currently focusing on in their actual law firm, right? In their format and what they're trying to do, what they're trying to accomplish. And let's be real, sometimes they don't even know what they need, right? They're just like, I just need help. And then they hope and pray that you come with all the answers because they're like, I don't even know where I need this help, right? Like, I know I get those clients all the time where it's clearly like, all right, let me hold your hand. Let's get you through this because it's going to be a long road.
Totally.
Another thing you mentioned was AI, right? ChatGPT, talk of the town, right? Like I was mentioning earlier, softwares really noticeably upgrading their integration, right? Because they're noticing that a lot of attorneys do not want the whole multiple softwares and multiple platforms, right? They want everything to integrate, work seamlessly. A lot of remote work is happening, so they want accessibility to their team, what they're doing, what they're up to, why they're doing it, when they're doing it, how they're doing it. They want still some type of control, right? So all these upgrades and all these updates that I'm noticing with the new AI that's coming out has a lot to do with that, right? Has a lot to do with timekeeping, has a lot to do with the user versus really what it actually does. So I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on this whole AI thing.
It's going to majorly disrupt and eliminate a lot of positions. But I don't want people to get scared of it. If anything, it's I never seen a more level playing field of taking this technology. Anybody can take this technology, do something about it, and either make the role better or create some roles or some value wherever you're working at. A good, for example, take whatever you're working at. There's always data that you're getting. Are you doing something with it to be able to have an output? So the first question is, what is that data you're working with? Okay. What questions and answers do you have? Second is, if you have the data, what is the prompt that you have to give to this AI? Like basically, what are the instructions to say, hey, take this data and I want you to do this with it, which is basically what you're doing. And see if you can come up with that. That's what I've been challenging everybody in our teams to take their role and kind of really break it down like that. What data do you have and what are you doing with it? And let's put that into ChatGPT and see what we can come up with and how it optimizes your role. For paralegals, it's very obvious. There's going to be major disruption. Sorry to break the news, but it's best to kind of learn how it will disrupt it, and again, be able to use it to your advantage instead of getting washed away from it.
Right, I know. And you're right, it is. It's going to eliminate a lot of it, which is fine. We've been waiting for something like this to happen to us because I feel like sometimes a lot of people feel like we're glorified assistants, right? And we're doing all this administrative stuff that can seamlessly be, done through a software, through an AI, through a ChatGPT. We're spending hours and hours on drafting briefs and gathering all this information when there's software out there that can do it. This way we can focus more on what we're really good at, the customer service, the analyzing, the putting it all together, the organizing, the presenting it to the attorney, the strategizing. That's really what paralegals were meant to do. We were supposed to occupy that partnership role with the attorneys versus getting bottled down with all these administrative tasks, because attorneys either cannot afford it or refuse to hire somebody and onboard somebody, or like you said, find an AI that can replace those administrative tasks and automate the bulk of their information, which I feel like if done correctly, like you've proven, it can go well, right? It can go horribly wrong too if you don't do it right, because I always say whatever you put in, it's what's going to come out. So you have to learn what to ask it, how to organize it, exactly what information are you gathering in and placing in the system for it to actually spit it out. And you have to have the knowledge to be like, this is correct, this is incorrect, this, I should really change this. Like, there's still always going to be that human element, right? That is going to be needed in some capacity, maybe not as much as we're using it now. I feel like we overutilize humans, but like you said, if you get ahead of it, I think we'll be fine.
And
So
if
tell
anybody,
me a little bit.
if you don't mind, let me just bring this up. If anybody again who's hearing our conversation, take the challenge that I gave you and see if you can create a specific prompt and a specific way to be able to use ChatGPT to be able to make your job more efficient. And if you take that to your boss and share it with them, be like, hey, look at how I'm able to make this whole process, optimize it, may be able to save time, and that saving time equals this much. What would you give me if I'm able to manage this and kind of lead our AI enabled paralegal kind of department and be able to kind of scale this up for you? If you take that, now you'll be ahead of it and you'll be in charge of it. And as you said, Edda, there's always a need for quality control. It means we don't just rely completely on it. You still need a human to be able to review what has been done by AI. But you want to be kind of the manager of that, in charge of that before someone else takes over that role.
And you want to learn it. We're actually doing a whole, I love this topic because it's coming at a really valuable time for at least our company, because we're doing a whole workshop and webinar on AI and how to get ahead of it and what resources are reliable, how you can learn what you were just saying, how to investigate further. And like you said, get ahead of it. I love how you talk about create stellar teams to delegate work to. So how are you creating these stellar teams and how are you identifying them, right? Because I know in the paralegal world, much like the lawyer world, there's different levels of attorneys, right? There's different knowledge, there's different experience, there's different expertise. Like you went ahead and took it like to the nth degree, but not every attorney thinks about it that way. Not every attorney is maybe that innovative or ambitious or tries to find a solution on their own, right? So, tell me a little bit how you create these, teams.
It's first virtual always. And the reason is the talent pool is much better when you're able to go from a 50-mile radius of around your law firm to now maybe potentially national, and potentially even international, which a lot of people don't look at. So that's one, increased talent pool from a virtual talent pool. Second is we qualify people based on very specific criteria. Either we get them, if we have an influx of those applicants, then we get them to fill out a form for us to pretty much summarize exactly, what's their experience, how many years, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. And that way, in one shot, be able to kind of review those answers and pick and choose who we want to interview with. And then from that, I always hire in twos. I have a thing called rule of twos. There's some things you want to do two at a time. One is hiring, because I want to find that superstar early. I don't want to hire somebody and then see how it goes, and then from that, make adjustments. No, I'll rather hire two. From the get-go, within a couple of days, I'll know who's better, who's going to do this work faster, who's more responsive, who's going to even turn in earlier. And from that, right away, I know this one's great, this one's all right. If I can keep both, I'll keep both. If not, I'll move forward with the best one and continue doing that. And then the other thing is a lot of law firm owners, they go through hiring stages. Well, okay, we're doing well, all right, we're doing okay now. And as soon as somebody leaves or something happens, they go into the kind of recruiting stage. We don't do that. It's a big mistake. We're always constantly in a constant recruiting mode. I found that the best law firm owners are constantly hiring the best people at all times. That means what we do is we have a full-time recruiter who has a protocol, being on Indeed, ZipRecruiter, putting up ads or whatever, putting up job posts to constantly find those A and B players, ideally just A players constantly. 365 days a year. And we're always looking to hire. If you are, and I'll put the call to action, if you are paralegal or somebody in the legal field and you're looking for jobs, just find my name and find my email, send me an email. I'm always hiring across the 6 law firms, across 8 different companies. Just let me know. I'll be happy to be able to.
Yeah, we'll put it on the description and too, so that they don't have to search for you, Google search you. We'll make it easy for the listeners. You also have a mission to help lawyers scale and get back their life. And I feel like for me anyway, that hit home, right? Because that was the whole reason why I opened up my business. I was a recent mom. I said, no way, that's not happening. I'm not going to give her to a stranger. I want to raise my own child. And so that gave me my life back, right? Or that gave me, I guess, control of what I could and could not do in my calendar. And in essence, like you say, make more money doing it, right? Because you're happy, you're doing what you love, you found your niche, you're in your mode, and then you have no cap, right? You don't have to ask for the raise. You don't have to deal with all the other stuff that comes in with employment and things like that. So I'm interested to know how you did that. What were your steps? Like, what made you think this is going to be our mission?
That goes into actually my book. I have a book called
Oh,
Virtual Law.
I love that book. I have it. You know that, right?
It's time to read it. It's time to read it. But I get into that in detail. And before we even get into the how-tos of the subtitle is how to run your law firm so it doesn't run you. Before we get to the how-tos, I first say, well, first we got to clean up your slate. That means the title of chapter 2 is how to eliminate distractions and stay focused in a busy world. So I was able to kind of narrow down the top 3 distractions that everybody has. Number 1 is their email inbox, especially with law firm owners. They're in their emails all day long. It's a big problem. Number 2 is social media. A lot of people spend countless hours on their social media. And then number 3 is a lot of people get the notifications on their phone. That pretty much those 3 really cover 80% of all the distractions we get in the world. Again, your emails, your social media, and your iPhone, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for each one, I'm just going to give you a gist of like the 80-20 most practical way to how to get control of your life for each of those. Well, one is your email inbox. Your email box, you don't realize it, but most of the time when you're answering your different people, usually you have like 80% of it's the same thing over and over. Maybe just saying at different times, in different ways, but we really analyze it's the same thing. So what I did, again, out of desperation, I basically created a system using a tool called Mixmax, Mixmax. That's basically a tool for Gmail that allows you to create templates and sequences out of your email communication. So to just say, if somebody asks me a question about this, I create a template out of that. So that next time somebody asks me the same question, I could just use a template to be able to provide the same optimized answer. Also, the other thing that it does is sequences. Let's just say a lot of times when I need something to be done, or if prospect with somebody emails me for something, or if I need a client to do something, I don't want to go back and follow up manually and 2 days later, hey, can you get this to me? Instead, one time I create a sequence which automatically says, hey, if this email is not replied back to in 2 business days, then go ahead and send this second email. And then if they don't respond back to that email, a third email, fourth email. So for all these different things that I know I need a response, I create sequences, and I just create it once and I send sequences out, which automatically the emails are coming straight from Gmail. So it looks like it's coming from me and it's able to follow for me. So I created those systems. And now I basically have my virtual team. At this point, I have about 4 or 5 people who answer my emails using different templates and sequences to answer those emails for me. That's number 1. Number 2 is social media. Social media, you're either a consumer or you're a producer. The wrong side is to be a consumer. That's where 90% of people spend their time. Not a good place to be long term. You're going to get burned out. You're going to get over the flood of information. You're going to waste a lot of time. Instead, you want to be a producer. Well, which one do you want to be a producer on? I kind of break it down in the book. What's working best? You want to be a producer on just one platform. And ideally, all the other ones you eliminate. If you see yourself, you're a consumer, you literally cut out all the consumer ones. So that means for me, I don't get on TikTok. It's a big waste of time. I'm sorry. I'm trying to cut out.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, I'm trying to cut out Instagram and Facebook, and any ones that I'm coming on and being consumer, cutting out. And the third is iPhone. If you have an iPhone, one of iPhone's most underutilized and most undervalued features is a setting called focus mode. Yeah. If you go to your settings, if you want to pull out, everybody can just pull out their phone right now. If you go to your settings, you'll see the 8th option you'll see is an option called focus. I don't want to get into it now, but that right there, if you just go on YouTube and search for like how to set up focus mode on your iPhone, there's a way to say, hey, during work hours or during these hours, I don't want to get any notifications from these apps, from these people, from other people, whatever, coming into my phone. And now what that means is throughout the day, I don't get any incoming notifications to me. That means my time is protected. Nobody can come and say, hey, can you do this? Can you look into this and do this for me? Whatever. I'm in control of my time. Whenever I click into my messages is when I see my text. Whenever I click into apps, that's when I see my notifications, etc. And now that kind of forces me to be in control of my time versus people controlling my time. So through those kind of completely being in control of my every minute that's spent, now like literally at this point, it's like seconds are being optimized. And yeah, I think that's ultimately what it comes down to, controlling those distractions and being in control of your time.
Like people thought that I was crazy when I started putting my phone on silent because I don't even want to hear the vibration. And then I put it on do not disturb. So like it'll, like you said, with Google, especially if I have a Google Pixel, so it's a little different. But with Google, if it sees you have a current event, it'll automatically put your phone on do not disturb. So you will not get any calls, any notifications. So yeah, I mean, I love it. I do that with my time management courses. We include those similar things. I call them email maze because you just go into this maze and you just get lost in it, right? But I love that you inserted the templates and things like that because it's super valuable. So tell me a little bit about your coaching program, your community, which now I'm going to be a part of. So I'm excited about that. You're My Legal Academy.
Nice.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's basically the number one biggest and best community for lawyers and their teams. And I'll share kind of the vision and bring up my vision board for My Legal Academy. There are 4 aspects of this. Number one, it's community based. That means the community governs everything. And it's a completely different mindset than like course. It's not a course, it's not a thing. It's kind of like community. That means from the community, you get all the resources and everything you need, you possibly ever need for your law firm there. That's the first part. Second is we have world-class instructors. So imagine for every specific subject when it comes to the legal world, we have top people like Eda, who can come and train our paralegals in our platform. So, that's the kind of expertise. The third part is, as I kind of mentioned, it's for lawyers and their teams. So that is pretty cool, kind of training all the team members that are part of these law firms. And then fourth, which is kind of like part of the long-term vision, is we're not just covering topics for law firm growth. I think law firm growth is important, but there's also other very important topics like health, mental health, taxes, the best business cards. There's so many different topics that can make lawyers and their teams optimized over time. We're going to be bringing on these instructors and things that come and advise on these things. So ultimately, the person who is part of this community becomes optimized, and everything flows from that. Then the success and the personal growth, everything kind of flows from that. Super
I
exciting.
know I've been doing that. I've been including the mindset, because from going to the 9 to 5 to an entrepreneur, that's a complete mindset shift, right? You're no longer the employee dependent on whatever benefits they were offering, getting that steady paycheck. So it's a whole different mindset shift on all aspects. And also the learning curve, right? Like you explained in the beginning of the conversation, the learning curve of learning, okay, now what the hell am I doing? What am I going to do now? I opened up this business. Now what do I do? How do I get my clients? What's the marketing about? Like, how do I get people to know that I even exist at this point? So I went through that journey as well. So I felt it was really important because I do take continuing legal education courses. I'm actually going for my master's in August. So I still continue, my education, but nowhere do they ever include the mindset, right? That's super important. And that we are one of the top professions with anxiety and stress and substance abuse and Adderall use and all this good stuff, right? I meant that jokingly, but all these underlining issues that we don't really talk about, either because we're afraid or we think that people are going to think of us, differently or whatever the case may be. So I'm really excited about that addition coming into the My Legal Academy.
Totally. And everything flows from the person themselves. Once you focus on that and optimize yourself, then your entire life gets optimized from that.
I love it. I love it. Sam, you're just amazing. I just love your energy. I love everything about you. And I'm so excited to be part of your journey. Thank you for coming on the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Guys, for those of you that don't know, because I didn't even connect the dots that he is the author of the virtual law firm. And it was so funny because one of my clients was like, you have to read this book. Like, it's amazing.
Nice.
So I'm like, I bought it. So I have 3. I also got the other one that you recommended, which it's the Digital Millionaire
Secrets.
That one. So I got that one right away because I'm like, if Sam said I had to do it, I have to do it. So I got it. And also another one that was recommended was E-Myth, but I'll put all the links down in the description for you.
And there's one more that I think is game changing. It's called the One Thing.
Oh,
One Thing.
okay.
If anybody's into productivity and maximizing your time, it might be the best productivity book of all time.
Awesome. All right. So we'll add those links down below for the people to enjoy it and read it and hopefully purchase it. But definitely your book. I read the synopsis. I haven't read the book. I literally just got them. So
I made it as short as possible that you could read it literally in one sitting.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. It's more like a guide. It's like, it's a really short read. And that's what I love, especially for like busy entrepreneurs. It's awesome. So thank you, Sam. I appreciate you.
Thank you. We have a bright future ahead of us. You'll be leading our paralegal pack.
I'm excited.
And I know sometimes it's like kind of hard to talk about yourself or your offer for people that have been listening to you for some time and they haven't booked the time to be able to come to speak to you. Can you give a little call to action why they should come and speak to you?
Oh, I'm the best. No, I'm just kidding. I think with my 20 plus years of experience, plus my personal experience and my personal journey, I bring something that maybe other coaches are not going to bring, right? I merge the worlds together. I'm multilingual, so I understand you more as a person. but I also understand your struggles as a professional, and I put the human back in humanity. So I feel like that personal touch you may not get anywhere else. Not that I'm saying you won't. I'm just saying that I kind of add an extra an extra layer to the services, because I always come with a good heart. You know, I always put you first and your interests first. I'm not really, I mean, obviously I'm in it for the money, because if not, I would just be on the street somewhere. But definitely that's not the first thing that comes to mind. I'm interested in your growth, in your empowerment, and hopefully in that process, we create magic, which is what we do here at Etta Rosa.
And how long have you been doing this?
Oh, man. Well, 22 years
Wow,
and 7 years specifically in legal education. So
amazing. I just shared a video that I put out recently. Basically said one of the 5 secrets of being successful is to work with people who have been doing whatever that they've been doing for a long time, versus being a guinea pig. 90% of vendors and different services that you see are people who are just kind of their first couple of years. And those at that stage, you're just essentially, if you become their client, you're a guinea pig.
yeah.
Versus if you find people that have been doing this for 5, 10, 20 plus years, they've stood the test of time. And those people are usually the ones that have optimized their value and their offering, what they bring to the table. Those are the people you want to work with,
Yeah.
which is very obvious. If you're paralegal, 100% go speak to Etta. You have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose. Just go book a call.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, my own shout out, which I'm not
Yeah,
used to, but thank you. I appreciate
sure.
that.
Of course, if I were you, I would take that clip and blast it. Because some people
Awesome.
they
Thank
get
you.
to hear
Thank
the
you.
value, but they don't hear the reason why they should come and speak.
That's true. Well, until justice is served, everybody, have a good one. Bye.